Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be planting out our onion plants. We've had them growing since January in the basement, and we've transitioned them outside for the past week now, so they are fully hardened off, so they shouldn't have any problems with being planted out now. It is the perfect day, nice and overcast, no harsh wind or sun, so hopefully they thrive. Last year we planted these out at the end of March, so we are a little bit earlier this year, now planting them out at the middle part of March. So this is all exciting. We're going to be planting them in the same area that we did last year, which is just this front bed, and then we're going to put the excess in the back. We had the strawberries. This is the Sequoia strawberry variety, and they had a bit of damage because of the house painting project, but we're going to first just clean up all the dead and brown stuff from the strawberry plants, and then whatever space is left, we're going to fill those spaces with onion plants. So we have a few varieties. I'm going to bring you guys over to show you the varieties again. We have the ruby red, and all of these are long day onions. So we have the ruby red, we have the Utah yellow Spanish, we have the Walla Walla. This is the first year that we're actually doing the Walla Walla onion, and we have our basic green onions, and then we have some shallots. I'm planning to put these shallots in the green stalk, so they are going to probably remain in this container. Then we have some yellow Utah Spanish over here, and I definitely have way too much onion plants, so I'll end up giving away some of these transplants. So after we clean up the dead leaves and stuff from the strawberry, we are going to replenish the soil with some, this is coop poop. This is just your regular blend of chicken manure, very low in the NPK. I believe it is 243. I have used another brand of chicken manure that has a higher level of nitrogen. I definitely don't want them to have too much nitrogen, but this seems balanced enough. If I didn't have this chicken poop, I'll probably use my go-to, which is the Black Cow, just your basic addition to your soil. And if I didn't have that, again, I'll probably just use your just regular organic fertilizer. So that is the plan. We're going to clean up, we're going to replenish the soil, add some water just so that when we plant the onions they stay in place, and then after that I'll just show you guys the process and then how it looks after. So I'm going to give you guys a before shot because this looks pretty bad. And you can see this is some red onions here. They're obviously not going to be bulbs, but I could definitely use the top as scallion or spring onions. And we have another one over here. This is a white variety, but this is how the bed is looking. Pretty. There's a lot more brown than there is green, but once we clean it up and give it some fertilizer plus the addition of the rain, I think these strawberry plants will spring back up, but it'll give our onions time to bulb up before the strawberries fully spread out. So I'm excited to see how this works out. If you guys remember, I had the banana plant here. I didn't protect it over the winter because it's supposed to be hardy in our zone. So I just did an experiment just to see what will happen. The roots are still in there. I kind of cleaned it up, and I'm just waiting to see what happens with that.
It's making the leaves bad, right? Mm-hmm. Why can't we keep the brown stuff?
Because the brown stuff is the dead stuff.
Huh?
The brown stuff is the stuff that died.
We don't want to keep the stuff that died?
No.
There's a lot of stuff that died. Oh, Mom, look.
Oh, wow. So if you are new to this channel, a little bit of overview as to why I have this large bed of strawberries that I'm trying to clean up to now put onions in. So last year I figured that a good companion for strawberries is onions. With the smell of the onion plants, it deters a lot of pests from the strawberries. It worked really well last year, so essentially I'm just trying to replicate that again. So that's why I am cleaning this up. They did not spread as much when I first planted the onions with the strawberries. They started just as small as you'll see them later after the cleanup. And then once I was able to pull out the onions, then the strawberries started to take over. And I feel like that is a perfect situation. This location also gets full sun. This is the south facing side of my home, so that works well for both the strawberries and the onions. There is a bit in the back part towards the wall that gets a little bit of shade, and I think this year I'm also going to try to put some lettuce in there and see how that goes. I told you guys I have a lot of problems with leafy greens in ground because of the pest situation, so I'm going to try to add some lettuce in here and see how that goes. But for now, we're just going to be focusing on the strawberries and the onions. So this is how everything is looking. I was able to pretty much clean up everything with the help of Maya. We have not that many strawberry plants left, but as you know, strawberries send out runners, so I feel like in no time this place is going to be filled with strawberry plants, so I'm not too worried about it. I did try to keep some big plants that we accidentally pulled out, and I just filled up the solar cup with some water, and I'm going to try to root those when we plant the onion. So we were able to finish most of what we had to do today. The only thing that we didn't do was go ahead and plant out the onions. I was thinking about it a little bit more, and since it's going to rain for the rest of today, starting around like 5-6 until around that same time tomorrow, I think it may be best to just hold off until the rain is done and then come back out here and plant it, because the last thing I want is for, you know, to spend the time planting out the onions and then I come out here and because of the heavy rain they kind of wash out of their planting place. So we're going to just push that for a couple of days, which I think may work out a lot better. In the meantime, I was able to put down the fertilizer, which is great because the rain will help push that down in the soil. So when it's time to put out the onions, the fertilizers was already, you know, getting used to the location and already starting to break down a bit. So the onions will be able to access that as soon as I plant them out. So that's the plan, and then I'm going to pick back up with you guys when I plant the onions. Okay guys, so picking up from yesterday, I told you guys that I decided to push back the onion planting to today, just so that when I plant them, they're not, you know, repositioned out of their location because of the heavy rains. And then I even put the plants that were hardening off, I placed them underneath the table. You could see these holes that were created by the rain, and then we actually had some plants that were moved out of the planting cell a bit. After seeing all of that, I think it was definitely a great idea to push back the planting. I do believe the onions would have been pushed out of wherever we planted and we would have had to come back in and reposition them. So we are going to go now and plant the onions in front. Initially, I was going to do a variety. As you guys know, we have the red, some yellow, some Walla Walla, but I think I'm going to save the red and the Walla Walla for the back, and then I'm just gonna put all the Utah yellow Spanish in the front. That's why it's easier for me to just know that, okay, in the front is this one specific variety. So that's the plan for that. I'm not going to be talking much in the front, as you guys know, but I'm going to be setting up the camera so you guys see what's happening, and Maya is going to help me do that. The fertilizer, I'm really happy that I put the fertilizer down yesterday. It's really settled in a bit, and then I'm going to use my little dibble dabble thingy, just create the holes, and then Maya and I are going to go along and just pop the onion seedlings in the holes. So let's get into it before it actually gets dark.
Mom,
What?
it's gold.
Stop playing with it.
I wasn't playing with it. I wasn't playing with it.
Okay.
Mom, can I do this?
And I'm just going to set them apart like this. Take off a little bit of these roots, and then I'm going to section them into threes. You guys know I like to grow my onions into threes, so I'm gonna. Okay, good.
In my playhouse.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give 3 sections so that Maya could easily help me place these onions in the holes that we just created. So there's a batch of 3. Here's another batch of 3. I'm going to take off most of these dirt that's on the roots. So we want nice, clean roots. So I'm going to let her try her hands at putting those into the hole, and then we'll probably work on it together. A little bit deeper. And you're going to put your onion in there.
This one?
Right in there, yep. Make sure the roots are in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the roots down in there. And then you want to hold it up a bit. And then
Okay.
Well, I had to get the full instructions first. Then you put the soil.
Hey, Mom, you did all of it.
You could do this one, babe.
Yeah.
So, make the a little deeper. Get the roots in there. Then take your other hand. Use one hand to hold up the onion and the other hand to cover it. Okay, no, you're not pushing down the onion. Yep. Okay, good job. No. Don't pack it down that much. Okay? So we don't want it that deep, okay? We just want it to cover just a little, the white parts of the onions, okay? But that was pretty good. So you may not have been able to see that completely clearly, but I'm just instructing her to plant from the root until you start seeing that green bit. Usually from the root going up to that green bit is about a 1/4 inch, and that's how deep you like to plant. Well, you should plant your onions, a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch deep. And I like to do 3 together because some of these bulbs, if you plant it separately, you will get a very large onion. And as I've said before, I like my onions small enough so that I could use the entire onion in whatever I'm cooking. Onions can actually draw bacteria whenever you cut them and place them back into the fridge, so it's best to just use the entirety of the onion. My spacing is about maybe 6 inches or so lengthwise, and then across it's about 6 inches as well. I did go ahead and change that a bit to have just 2 in that side, and then I placed the remainder in the middle. This would be perfect sizing if I was just putting 1 plant per hole, but since each hole has 3 planting, I think they needed a little bit more room. These are the plugs that came from the seed tray over here, and I just popped most of them out. For the most part, they all have 3 seedlings in each plug, but there's a few that has 2 or just 1 seedling or 1 seed that germinated. So I'm just knocking off the excess dirt and I'm pairing them up into 3, putting them in their respective holes, and then I'm going to come back around with my little dibbler dabbler thingy and extend the holes and then just plant them up. You can see when you have them in the seed tray, you can see how they start to wrap around at the bottom. So I'm just going to take off all the dirt off of all of them just to avoid that that root situation, and just make sure that they're free so that they could grow down instead of around. Oops. But yeah, really happy. One thing I did notice is the seedlings from the tray surprisingly is a little bit more robust, stronger, thicker. I even started them a little bit behind from the ones that I planted together in that larger seed container. And I think that's because the seed container I'd use potting mix and I didn't strain it or sift it, whereas this one I used seed starting mix. So I think that allowed better germination and for the root to go down more easily. So I think that's why next year I'm going to make sure that I'm sifting the potting mix before I plant any seeds in them. So that's just a little FYI before we finish up the planting. Everything is looking pretty good so far. As I told you guys, I did take out that middle row of seedlings just to give the plants a little bit more space. I went outside just now to try to get a clip of it for you guys, but it was insanely windy. It was a pretty overcast day, so it wasn't coming out as nice. So I'm just leaving this in for now, and then in another video, I'll show you guys how the final product came out. So we have finished planting the onions in front, but I want to quickly show you guys what I also planted yesterday, because I become like a mad woman whenever I know that rain is in the forecast. I like to make sure that I'm firstly putting out my buckets to get rainwater, and then secondly I like to plant seeds. So in the back bed here, I didn't completely use all the space, so I went ahead and did 2 rows of the purple top white globe turnip. And then I found these tags that I had for a while now, and these are perfect because they stay nice and tall. And it's not like the little white tags that will go missing in the bottom and sink down. So I'm happy I found these. I'm also going to be replacing my garlic planter tags with those metal ones, because you could see they are breaking and falling apart and all that stuff. But apart from that, I also planted some Cylindra beets. I planted about 4 rows of those, and then I went ahead over here and I planted some golden beets. I did 2 rows of this, and then lastly, she's been amazing. Haven't had any issues with birds, and I've just been moving her and turning her every time I pass by. And then lastly, I went ahead and planted some bull's blood beets. The only space I have remaining now is this back row over here. And then I have these front areas by the trellis that's going to hold the peas. So both sides here, and then I have this bed open, and I think I'm going to start putting out my broccolis. That is going to be it for this video, guys. We did a couple days of planting back to back. We did some planting out our onions. We did some sowing of seeds. We also, you may see this video later, but I also kind of did the carrots around the same day. So I think I'm going to give myself maybe a little day of rest, but that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Irie, yourself. Bye.